welcome everyone to our webinar. Also, of course, a big thank you to Companion for hosting this webinar together with us. Very happy to see that we've almost reached, I think, 30 attendees at the moment. So I think maybe some people will be showing up in a few more minutes, but let's just go on with this webinar. So we're very happy to see so many people interested in this webinar. Just so you know, it is being recorded and everyone will have access to the recording afterwards. Now, I noticed that most of the attendees today are consultants, so I am going to limit my sales talk to the bare minimum because you probably don't really care for it and you just want to see the demo. As Hans mentioned, I am Jens. I am the partner manager at Dynavision. I'm, of course, responsible for sales, marketing, and partner management for all our lovely BC partners. Today, I have brought the real star of the show with me, which is Bernd.
Yeah, good afternoon. Welcome joining the webinar. I'm Bernd and I'm leading the development team at Dynavision.
All right, thank you, Bernd. If you would have any questions during this presentation, you can post them in the Q&A section of the chat and we'll handle it after the demo. Now, before we kick off the demo, I'd just like to tell you a little story about a wonderful ISV called Dynavision. Now, there once was a Belgian team of developers and analysts that noticed that BC partners were building the same types of customizations over and over again. The team thought to themselves, why don't we standardize these features and pour them into SaaS apps? That's actually when Dynavision was born in the beautiful city of Ghent. The team developed an app portfolio of about even 30 add-ons for Business Central with a 100% SaaS focus, allowing them to keep the apps up to date, no matter how many updates Microsoft might push for Business Central. The team decided that they should focus on the distribution and trade verticals, as well as on the drinks or beverages sector, because, of course, we Belgians are very much known for those sectors, especially the last one. If you're curious about our complete offer, you can check out our website, dynavision.app. Now, why do we do what we do? We want to empower BC partners on 3 different levels. First of all, we want to help partners achieve their go-live goals by reducing the need of customization, which in its turn allows you to deliver your projects faster and in a full SaaS setup. We want to give you more sales power by offering an alternative for customizations with our standard app portfolio, and thus also lowering the budgets needed for a BC implementation. And I think the most important one is something that lots of partners are struggling with. That's the war on talent. Our entire app portfolio has been built around the simple principle that a junior consultant should be able to set these apps up, even if it's revolving around the most complex of processes, just simply by following our documentation and by following our manual. This will also allow you to train your consultants more efficiently while also delivering value for your customers. Now, if you would be interested in becoming a partner at Dynavision after this webinar, well, it's very easy. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You can just contact sales or, of course, me through the contact form on our website. You can find the link on this slide. We will then send you a simple partner agreement that allows us to protect our IP and will ensure that you will receive a commission on every app license you sell. Once the agreement is signed, we will onboard you and then you are all set to start using our Dynavision app. So it's really as simple as that. So that was the boring sales part. Now, of course, this is where it will get interesting for you. We are here to demo the Advanced Item and Price Import app. We have developed this app because we noticed that suppliers are updating their item and prices almost weekly due to changing catalogs, unstable markets, and so on. They keep on receiving those Excel files from suppliers. This means that distributors are almost non-stop working on updating these items and prices in Business Central. Our app automates this process, so distributors, wholesalers, retailers can really efficiently keep their information up to date in Business Central. Before Bernd is going to kick off the demo, I'd like to mention that this app is available in Dutch, French, and English. if you would like this app to be translated to your country-specific language, you can always contact us. We have certain tools that allow us to quickly translate these apps for you. On top of that, every app is available for a free trial. So of course, this advanced item and price import as well. You can use this trial for 28 days and install it via the app stores, or apps are also available worldwide. And then if you want to find out how you have to install it and how you have to configure the app, well, we have extensive manuals and examples for that on our website, www.dynavision.app, which makes implementing them child's play. All right, so that's it for me. Now it's over to Bernd.
Thank you, Jens, for the introduction. Before I'm going to jump into Business Central and show the app, a quick overview why we made this and how we made this. Though, as everybody knows, and as being a consultant, it's quite a lot of work to import Excel files with item information or price information. We know it all. We are then transforming data in Excel with formulas like VLOOKUP and so on. And then we are importing it with rapid start and we are applying that into the system. But of course, it's a cumbersome work and also error-prone work. So we wanted to reduce those steps and we wanted to directly import the Excel files without editing them. We want to import the data into the item table, but also to the related tables. For example, the item references, item attributes, but also the pictures of the item card and so on. And what we also wanted to tackle is that we wanted to import purchase prices that are quite often in those Excel files, and we want to import them into the purchase price worksheet. And that's a standard tool in BC where we added some small functionalities to facilitate the import of the purchase prices. In short, this is a scheme of what we will see. In the beginning, we have an Excel file, could also be a CSV file. We will import that into BC. We will store that Excel file as an attachment also. Then we will import the data from that Excel file into a worksheet, onto the lines of that worksheet. We will do the field matching. So we will specify which column is which field in BC. We can apply some transformation rules to do some modification of the data in the Excel before importing it into BC. We can also apply some calculation. So we can create calculation fields where we can do some calculations on the values. And we can also do a value mapping. Everything that we define is stored in an import template, so we can reuse the template when we receive updates from that specific vendor. Afterwards, we can validate the application, so it's a kind of a test run, and then we can finally import and update items in BC. And at the same moment, we will then import the purchase prices into the worksheet. So that's then the theoretical part of it, and now we will switch to the Business Central system. I'm sharing my screen. I have an international version, so I installed a environment, the US version. So our apps are generally available worldwide, not only for specific countries. Before I will show it, I will share the screen of my Excel file. So I made a little example file, and later on we will see a more complicated one. Just a flat file with, on the first line, we have a title row where I would say the field names are, but that are not the field names of BC, so we'll need to map them. And then you see the data. And for each data, I have some functionality in mind that I will show. For example, we will have a price that we import in the purchase price worksheet. We will have a weight, but here it's in grams. We will convert it to kilograms. I have a category which I will translate into an item attribute, and I will map the values ABC to small, medium, and large. So that's what I'm going to show now. In Business Central, we have a list of imported documents. There is just one in here. That's my second case I will show later on. How do I start? It's as simple as it could be. I just click on Import File. I select my example file I just showed. I'm importing it. So it's importing the Excel file. And in one go, it will also import the data from that Excel file in the lines of this worksheet. So what I see is the first result. We apply some automatic matching. So the title names that we have in the Excel, we have a library and we can match them to a specific field in Business Central. And if I'm now adding some new fields, some new tags, in fact, we are building up that library so that for future imports, you will have more accurate automatic mapping. The colors on the first column are indicating what type of line has been recognized. So we have a color scheme so that you can very easily see, is it a header row, is it an error, is it applied, and so on. If the automatic mapping is not okay for you, you can very easily change the type of line by just selecting the correct one that is in the system. So most important thing is now to do the field mappings. I go to the field mappings. I see in bold the two mappings that are suggested by the automatic assignment. The product name is my description. Okay, that's fine by me. The part number is automatically mapped to the barcode, but I want to have that mapped to the reference of my vendor. So I just can select out of the list, the predefined list of fields. The base price is my purchase price, and that one I want to be mapped to the cost of my worksheet. I will show that later on the result. The weight I will skip for now because it's in grams and I want to be it in kilograms. The category, as I said, I want to have that as an item attribute, but the item attribute category is not existing yet in my system. So just by an action, I can say create the item category, the item attribute category, and I link it automatically to that field. All the technical setup is done automatically in background. The image that is linked in the Excel, I can just map it to the picture of the item card. So I can decide which field I want to map to which field in BC. Another thing I can do, we can insert a constant. So for example, the vendor number is not in this Excel file. I just can say I add a constant. It's the vendor number that I will insert on my item card. And then I can just select, I know it's for the vendor 30,000. I just select it and it will be inserted on the vendor number on the item card. Another type of info I can add is a calculated value. So I come back to my weight. I want to have the weight in my net weight field on the item card, but I want to have this calculated based on the value that is in the Excel file. So I select the field that I need, it's the weight. My sample data shows 2,500, that's in grams. And I just now can enter a formula to calculate the same weight in kilos. I see a preview of that sample information. So I just can close it and that calculation will be performed on all rows. There is one more thing I want to show here, the product name, the description. I see the last letter is a minor E, so not an upper E. I want my descriptions in BC all to be uppercases, so we can also add some transformation rules. There is a list of predefined rules. For example, upper. Just it will uppercase all values in that field. And just to show you the details, you can create your own transformation rules. So you can add a code with a description, and we have some types available. They are predefined. It's also extendable, that list, but we have already quite a lot of functionality, uppercases, lowercases, replace functions, and we can even handle regex expressions. So you could go even further in the complexity of replacing some strings in the values you receive. As I have done now all the mapping between my Excel columns and the BC fields, I get a notification, okay, you change something on the setup, you need to re-import the data, not the Excel, just the data into the worksheet. I could click on here, but I could also go back to my worksheet and say, okay, import this again. So now we see that we have more data on my worksheet visible. So this is the data that will be applied. I see my product name, everything in uppercases, no more small caps. My part number, prices, purchase prices, and notice in the original file in the Excel, there was also at the end of the price. This has been stripped automatically because we need a decimal value for the price import. My category, that's the newly created attribute, but I still see ABC. So on this level here, I can now do the value mapping. So I can say A is small, B is the medium, and C is the large. When that closes, I need to click on the import, and now you see the value mapping has been applied also. Image is just a link. So when we create now the items, that link will be used to download the image and to put it in the database. Net weight, we see we have calculated the net weight now in kilos from the gram value. At this moment, I can now say, okay, give me a preview, apply. It's just simulating what would happen if I would apply this. And it says, okay, you have 34 rows. And if you apply this, I will create 34 new records. So fine by me, and I will apply it. I get an option screen. Okay, of course, I want to create items. And on top of that, with the data I have, on top of that, I can then apply an item template to fill in the additional fields, such as the posting groups. For the purchase price, I will create a new one. The starting date of the prices is based on a formula I have in the setup. I just said, okay, I want to be it next month. And there are several other options then to open the worksheet automatically, yes or no. When I click OK, it will now create the 34 items. So takes a little half a minute, I guess. That was what I've seen in the testing. It's creating the item cards. It's putting in the data where the transformation rules are applied, where we have done the value mapping. For each item, it will download a picture, and then it will put it in the pictures, and it will also put the necessary info in the related tables, such as the item attributes and the item references. So we wait for some more seconds, and there we are. What you see now is that the item number of the newly created item is available, and I just can click on it and it will open the corresponding item card. I see the description, I see my picture, and on the item attributes, I see the category small. The weight is also in the system, and if I go lower, I will see that the vendor number has also been inserted in the item card. The related info, for example, has the item reference for that specific vendor. What has also been done, I go back, I closed one screen too much, I can go back to the worksheet. In the related info, I will find the purchase price worksheet, where all those prices now for the corresponding items for the corresponding vendor are imported, and that's standard functionality of BC, the price worksheet. Now you can validate that price, you can even correct it, you can even work further on it, and then at the end you can say, okay, I want to implement those price changes, and they will be put in the newly created price list. The nice thing is now all those settings are stored in the template. And if I receive, for example, after a week or after a month, I receive an update from my vendor, I can re-import. It will automatically recognize all the settings from the template. And then I see, in this case, I received 4 updates. For example, on the first one, the weight has been updated from 2.5 to 3 kilos. But all the rules that I have set are reapplied automatically. I can do a preview apply. And now in this case, it says, okay, it is an update. The items are already existing. I will just do an update of the existing items and then do apply. I will now skip the price part. And after the application of the updates, I can reopen and I see now, for example, that the weight has been changed on the item card. So that's in a nutshell all the functionalities we have. Of course, what I showed was a quite simple Excel file. Now on my screen, we see a more complex one. It's a real case. So what you can see is there is first of all some header information with a logo and with a lot of information that is not needed into Business Central. So those are lines that we will skip. And what is even more special about this file is that the item info in this case is each time on 2 lines. So we have 2 lines. On the first one, we have the item number. And for example, on the second line, we have the EIN number of that same item. We have a short description and a long description on 2 lines. So we need to group those 2 lines. And the second thing that is very special over here is the dark red. This is in fact a group, and the other red is the subgroup, in fact, because the price list is built here in that case that you see it is all the desktop displays. We have a series, AccuSync series, we have an E-series, and so on and so on. And you then will see at a certain point there are also desktop displays, which is another group. And what is also important in this one, this is, for example, a file with 1,600 lines, so more or less 800 items, just to give you an indication that is also not a limiting factor. This one was what I have imported this morning already because I need some additional setup and our time is limited, but I've imported it. What you can see on the line at the right side, the attachment is the actual Excel file. I can now open the worksheet. And just to demonstrate, if I click on import, it will again import all the 1,600 lines and put them in the worksheet again. And as you can see, everything is going quite fluently. And again, here, all the mapping and transformation rules are being applied. So what we see here is also over the color scheme is that, for example, those 2 lines, they are linked to each other because that's the group and that's the subgroup. And the following lines are always grouped in pairs of 2 because it's the first line of the item and the second line of the item. So those 2 lines, they belong together. The subgroup and grouping is also set on the field mapping. As you can see, the last 2 lines are the grouping for the group and subgroup. And it's also linked to an attribute in BC. So it's just another setup that you have to do to say, okay, it's a multi-line and we have to group it on that specific level. Now we can also say, I will do a selection and I can say, okay, give me the preview of the application. And there it will also say, I will create 2 new records, which I can do now. Again, I will skip the price list here. We have seen that already. And it has created again 2 new items. If I click through, we will see that I have an item with the 2 descriptions. In this case, we had no item picture, but we created the group and subgroup as the item attributes on that item. So just to show that there are even more complex possibilities on that, on the website, we have also a download with several Excel examples and with a step-by-step explanation how you can set it up. So if you install the trial, you can go on with that. So that's it for the demo, and I will hand over to Jens again.
All right. Thank you, Bent. Now, you will see some of our other apps popping up on the screen here while we will look at the questions in the Q&A. I see there are some questions, but they will mainly be for you, Bent, as it appear to be more technical questions. So I have The first question, is it possible to export a template and use it in another company or environment?
We have on the template level, we have an export import function that is possible. The only thing that you have to keep in mind, if for example you have some fields in one environment and you export it, and for example you have mapped to a field of a customer extension or something, and you export the template and you import it in the other one, it will probably not know that customer extension field. So there is the limitation then. But if you have a sandbox that is identical to the production, you could do the setup of your template in the sandbox, export it and import it in the production environment. Yes, that's a case that we have covered.
All right. I'm gonna, in meanwhile, skip to my next slide where you find a QR code, which you can scan if you would have any more questions concerning the app or other apps we are delivering at Dynavision. And then we'll move on to the second question. Can we use flat files, comma, delimited, fixed lengths, etc.?
We flatlines, if we mean CSV files, yeah, that is what we can do also. So we offer import possibilities for Excel files and for CSV comma separated files at this moment. Yes, that's what we offer.
All right, and then there's
Then
one last
the next
question.
one,
Yeah.
is an interesting one. 7 million items. There is a limitation, but I don't know it by heart. So I suggest that we will include it in the communication later on. It's probably also somewhere noted in the documentation, but I don't know it by heart. I have done some testing with some large customer files, but I don't think I ever went to 1 million in one go. But you could split it up then.
All right, so that's it for the questions. If anyone would have another question, you can type it in the Q&A, or otherwise, I think that is what concludes our presentation today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope everyone learned something about our advanced item and price import app. So if you would have more questions concerning this app, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll happily help you, and if necessary, we can even give you a more in-depth demo. We can help you with specific cases, etc. We are always there to help you.